The wedding invitation arrived, but my name wasn't on it. No mom, no +1, no seat reserved at the mother of the bride table. Just an address, a date, and a list of names, none of which were mine. That was the moment everything shifted in my world. A moment so sharp and unexpected I still feel its sting every time I think about it. I never thought I'd be the one watching my only daughter get married. From a screen, I remember the exact day it came. A quiet Wednesday afternoon. I had just returned from the grocery store. My arms were full of bags, and I noticed the delicate cream envelope tucked between bills and catalogs. I smiled, assuming it was what I had been waiting for. My official invitation to the day I'd dreamed about since she was a little girl, wearing bed sheets as veils and pretending to walk down the hallway aisle. I opened it eagerly, and then silence. I kept turning it over, searching for some mistake. Maybe they forgot to write my name. Maybe there was another envelope. But as the reality sank in, my chest tightened. I remember sitting down on the edge of my bed, staring at it like it might rearrange itself if I looked hard enough. My phone buzzed. It was my best friend, checking in. I told her, barely able to form the words. She didn't invite me. There was a long pause on the other end, then a stunned, "You're joking." But I wasn't. A few days later, I saw it blowing up on TikTok. My daughter smiling in a soft-lit video, explaining to her followers why she chose to set boundaries. She spoke calmly about protecting her peace, not inviting people who brought emotional instability into her big day. She never said my name, but I didn't need her to. The comments section filled in the blanks for anyone who didn't know. "You're so brave." Good for you. Some mothers don't deserve a seat. I sat in my living room, phone in hand, eyes burning, heart sinking lower than I thought it could go. Had I failed her that deeply? I tried to reach out. I called, no answer. I sent a text, short and careful. "Can we talk?" Nothing. I messaged one of her bridesmaids, a girl who once ate dinner at my house every Friday for 4 years. Her reply came the next morning. "She needs space. Please respect that. Space from me." I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, replaying every moment from the past year. We hadn't had a major argument. We hadn't screamed or slammed doors. But there had been friction. Subtle, quiet. Like tiny paper cuts that you don't notice until you're bleeding. I remembered commenting once on how expensive the venue looked. "Are you sure this is necessary?" I had asked. She went cold after that. Then there was the dress. I loved it, but I suggested a different neckline, one I thought would be more flattering. I meant it as a compliment. She took it as criticism. Was that all it took? A few poorly timed opinions? Was I being overbearing? Was I controlling? One evening, I parked my car across from her apartment and just sat there, engine off, watching the light in her kitchen flicker on and off. I didn't knock. I didn't text. I just watched. I thought if I stared long enough, she might come out, see me, wave. But she didn't. She never even knew I was there. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I wrote her a letter. Not an email. A real letter. The kind I used to tuck into her lunchbox when she was in middle school. I told her I loved her, that I was proud of her, that I didn't need to walk her down the aisle or give a speech. I just wanted to be there, quietly, in the back row even, just there. I mailed it. No response. Weeks passed. Then the wedding happened. I saw pictures online. Her in a flowing white gown, her father by her side, their arms linked like in a fairy tale, her stepmother smiling in the background, friends dancing, toasts being made. And me? I was nowhere. Not a whisper. Not even a mention, like I never existed. It broke something inside me, something I didn't even know could break. For weeks after, I floated through life in a kind of daze. I cooked dinner without appetite. I folded laundry with tears in my eyes. I stared at my phone, hoping maybe she'd send a message. A thank you, a question, anything. But silence has a sound of its own, and that sound filled my house. In my search for answers, I stumbled across a Reddit thread. Why I didn't invite my mom to my wedding. Hundreds of women shared their stories. Some spoke of trauma, others of years of disrespect. Some just wanted a clean break from the past. And suddenly, I wasn't alone. I realized there were more mothers like me than I ever imagined. Women who loved deeply, but fell short. Women who tried their best, but it wasn't enough. It helped. A little. Enough to get out of bed and make coffee the next day. Eventually, I joined a support group online. Women shared how they coped. One woman hadn't spoken to her son in 10 years. Another had watched her daughter get married on Facebook Live. Their pain echoed mine. I started therapy soon after. At first, I was defensive. I said things like, "She's being dramatic," or "I didn't do anything wrong." But over time, my walls cracked. I began to see that this wasn't about right or wrong. It was about perception, about pain, about unresolved wounds on both sides. I remembered how often I had told her what to do, rather than asking what she needed. I remembered dismissing her teenage fears as just a phase. I remembered times I should have hugged her, but instead offered advice. My therapist told me, "You can love someone with your whole heart and still hurt them." That hit me hard, so I began to change, not to win her back, though of course I hoped I would, but because I needed to grow. I learned to listen more. I stopped assuming. I wrote in a journal, each page addressed to her, though I never sent them. I just needed to say the words out loud. Months passed. Then one day I received a text, just a photo. Her dog, sitting on the porch, wearing a little bandana. No message, no context. But it was something. I stared at that photo for a long time. It felt like a breadcrumb, a whisper from her world. I didn't reply. Not yet. I wanted to. God, did I want to? But I waited. It was such a small thing, a dog photo, and yet it meant more to me than words ever could. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't closure, but it was a beginning. Or maybe just a crack in the wall that had been built between us. And now we're in this quiet in-between space. We're not what we used to be, but we're no longer strangers. Every once in a while I get a text, a meme, a holiday picture, a random update about work. No long calls, no visits, just moments. But I hold on to them like precious stones, because healing doesn't always come in fireworks. Sometimes it's a flicker in the dark, a step forward, then 2 steps back, a photo of a dog in a bandana. You see, people often think healing is this clear-cut thing, like there's a line you cross and suddenly you're okay again. But it isn't like that. Healing is slow, uneven. Some days I feel strong. Other days I find myself rereading that old wedding invitation just to remind myself that it was real, that I wasn't imagining it, that yes, I was really left out. But I've come to learn something about grief, especially the grief that comes from someone who's still alive. It doesn't get smaller. You grow around it. You find ways to live with the questions, the silence, the ache. There were moments I wanted to scream, to show up at her door and demand answers, to say, "I carried you inside my body for 9 months. I held your hand through nightmares. How can I not be worthy of watching you say, 'I do'?" But I didn't. Because love is not about forcing someone to understand your worth. It's about holding space, even when that space is filled with absence. I began finding peace in small things. I took long walks. I started painting again. Something I hadn't done since she was in preschool, when we used to finger paint side by side on the kitchen floor. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected while being consumed by motherhood. I joined a support group for estranged parents. Some of their stories were even harder than mine. Children who cut contact completely, grandchildren they'd never meet, holidays spent in silence. Yet in those stories I found community, a strange comfort in knowing I wasn't the only one holding a fractured heart. One woman told me something I'll never forget. Sometimes love doesn't look like connection. Sometimes it looks like patience. That line stuck with me. So I practiced patience. I didn't chase. I didn't guilt trip. I just waited, not because I gave up, but because I finally understood that rushing healing never works. When the holidays came around again, I didn't send gifts. I sent a card. Simple. One sentence. Wherever you are, I'm thinking of you. Love always, Mom. No reply. But that was okay. For once, I wasn't sending it expecting something in return. I was sending it just to let her know I hadn't closed the door. And slowly, something inside me softened. I started to reflect on my own childhood, my own mother, our own complicated bond. I realized I had carried wounds I never truly acknowledged, and perhaps I passed some of those down, unintentionally, through the way I parented. No one teaches you how to be a perfect mother. We all think love is enough, and sometimes it is. But sometimes love, without communication, without empathy, becomes misunderstood, misinterpreted, misplaced. I don't blame her anymore, not the way I used to. Do I still feel hurt? Of course. Do I still wish she had called, sat me down, explained? Absolutely. But I've stopped letting that wish define my days. Instead, I've created new rituals. I light a candle for her every Sunday evening. I write a letter I never send. I talk to her in my mind when I hear a song we used to love. I even started keeping a scrapbook, just for me, of our memories. School plays, birthday cakes, tooth fairy notes, because those moments still belong to me, no matter how far she goes. I've even found myself offering advice to others. Mothers going through something similar. Women sobbing over voicemail messages they weren't allowed to leave. Women who blame themselves for everything. I tell them the truth. We're not perfect, but we're still worthy of love, even when it feels out of reach. And now, here I am, telling my story out loud, not because I want sympathy, not because I want to shame my daughter, but because I know there are others listening. People sitting with a broken heart, wondering if they're alone. You're not. You might never get the closure you crave. You might never get the apology, the seat at the table, or the phone call. But you can still live. You can still love. You can still grow around the grief. I still miss her, every day. I still cook her favorite meal on her birthday. I still whisper, "I love you," when I pass by her childhood room. I still cry sometimes when I see a mother and daughter laughing in a cafe. But I'm healing, and maybe one day, she'll come back. Maybe we'll sit on a porch somewhere and she'll tell me everything. Or maybe not. Maybe the photo of her dog is all I'll get. Either way, I'll be here, quietly, patiently, because love doesn't give up, even when it's uninvited. And maybe, just maybe, love is what you do in the waiting. If this story touched you, if you've ever been on either side of a broken bond, I hope you heard your truth in mine. You are not alone. You are not a failure. And you are allowed to hurt, to heal, and to hope all at once? Please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this story with someone who may need to hear it. Leave a comment and tell us, have you ever been uninvited from someone you love? Sometimes just sharing your story is the first step to healing someone else's. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.